Hi, I'm John Cash. Welcome to John Cash Ministries and Revelations Church's daily devotion. Today, I want to talk about this. When man forgets you, God never does. We're going to be in Genesis chapter 40, and we're going to be looking at the story of Joseph. Now, remember Joseph. He was thrown into a well by his brothers. They were jealous of him. Sold into slavery and sent down to Egypt. Once he got acclimated there, he was falsely accused by his boss's wife and thrown into Pharaoh's dungeon, and he finds himself there for many years. It was about this time that the cupbearer for the Pharaoh and the baker, the chief baker from the Pharaoh, got in trouble. They were thrown in prison with Joseph. They have two dreams. Each have a dream each night, and they start talking about it. And this is where we pick it up in verse 18. Now, before we even pick it up, I do want to mention, you know, Joseph remained faithful in prison. When he did right, bad things happened. Sometimes that will happen with the Christian. You can do the right thing and bad things happen. There's spiritual warfare going on, folks. So in verse 18, it says this. This is what it means. Joseph then interprets the dream. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift off your head and hang you on a tree, and the birds will eat away your flesh. So, to the chief baker, he says, dude, you're going to get executed. You're a dead man walking. Now, I might add here that these were 2 very important officials, and Joseph did not shrink from telling the truth for the interpretation of the dream. Why is this so important? Because Joseph's integrity was key to his existence and key to God eventually blessing him tremendously, and through Joseph blessing the entire nation of Egypt and eventually many from the Jewish nation as well. Of course, it wasn't a nation yet, but you get the point. So Joseph's integrity kept him going, and he did not worry about what this guy thought about the interpretation of the dream. He told the truth. All right, now let's move on. The Bible then says, now the 3rd day was Pharaoh's birthday, and he gave a feast for all of his officials. He lifted up the heads of the chief cupbearer and the chief baker in the presence of his officials. He restored the chief cupbearer to his position so that he once again put the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker just as Joseph had said to them in his interpretation. Now, folks, this guy was not a real nice guy. He was a wicked man. This Pharaoh, he had power over everybody. He had no problem with cutting off the head, hanging this person, mutilating another person. And so these guys are released from prison. Of course, one is executed and one is restored to his position. Joseph is not. He obeys God again, and he's sitting in prison. Now, we find in chapter 41 that he sits in prison for another 2 full years. Look at verse 23. The chief cupbearer, however, did not remember Joseph. He forgot him. After Joseph did what he did, he was forgotten by this individual. Now, folks, listen. People can forget you. People can toss you aside. People can treat you badly. People can toss you to the ditch. People can leave you hanging. People can hurt you. But I want you to know something. While people can forget about you, God never will forget about you if you're a born-again Christian. Okay? He never forgets us. We find here Joseph having to wait 2 more years before he's released. What is Joseph thinking during this time? We don't know. We have no record if he's questioning God. But what we do know is he maintained his integrity and he maintained his walk with God, because eventually he was released from prison. He interpreted a dream for Pharaoh, and Pharaoh made him his go-to guy. He was second in charge of Egypt. God blessed the socks off of Joseph for his obedience. But Joseph had to go through a lot before that happened. And Joseph wasn't the only one blessed. Because of Joseph's obedience and attitude, when other people forgot him but God didn't, because of his attitude, he wound up blessing millions and millions of other individuals. God will never give up on you. And so when you start thinking he has, understand that's raw emotionalism. Keep the faith. God bless you. Thank you for your support of John Cash Ministries and Revelations Church.